My three children secretly contacted real estate agents to sell my house while I was supposedly losing my memory. But they had no idea that this supposedly confused 70-year-old widow was actually Margaret Rose Chen, former senior vice president of strategic development at Pacific Northwest Financial Group, certified specialist in real estate investment and property law, with 35 years of experience in complex property transactions and family trust structures, and the person who was about to use 4 decades of financial expertise and strategic planning to create the most perfectly calculated property lesson that anyone in our neighborhood's history had ever experienced. Before I tell you how a woman who spent her career designing investment strategies for wealthy families used comprehensive financial knowledge and property law expertise to teach her scheming children exactly what happens when you try to manipulate the parent who actually controls every aspect of your financial future through carefully structured family trusts, tell me in the comments if you've ever had family members assume you were becoming incompetent while secretly planning to profit from your supposed decline. And if this story of calculated justice through professional expertise resonates with you, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because I have more incredible stories about why you should never assume that quiet elderly parents don't have exactly the legal authority and financial planning skills needed to reshape your inheritance when you mistake their kindness for weakness. My name is Margaret Rose Chen. I'm 70 years old, and I'm about to tell you how my three adult children, Jennifer, Michael, and David, who had spent the last 18 months treating me like I was developing dementia while positioning themselves to help with my finances, made the catastrophic mistake of underestimating someone whose entire professional career had been built on understanding exactly how property ownership, family trusts, and inheritance structures work, and ensuring that family assets remain under the control of those who built them, rather than falling into the hands of relatives who mistake generosity for incompetence. The moment that would trigger my children's complete financial awakening happened on a crisp October morning in 2024, when I accidentally discovered that all three of my supposedly loving children had been secretly meeting with real estate agents, property assessors, and even potential buyers for my beautiful craftsman home in the hills of Portland, Oregon, the house where I had raised them, the house I had fully paid off through decades of careful financial planning, and most importantly, the house that represented the crown jewel of a carefully structured family trust that they clearly didn't understand, despite years of conversations about estate planning and family financial management. What Jennifer, Michael, and David didn't know, what they couldn't possibly have comprehended, despite decades of casual conversations about my retirement from banking, was that the supposedly confused mother they were systematically manipulating was actually Margaret Rose Chen, former senior vice president at one of the Pacific Northwest's most prestigious financial institutions, board-certified specialist in real estate investment law and family trust management, former consultant to the Oregon Real Estate Commission, licensed property investment advisor, and most importantly, for their immediate futures, the person whose professional signature had appeared on property transactions worth over $300 million, while ensuring that family assets remained protected from exactly the kind of financial manipulation and inheritance scheming that they were currently attempting. To understand how my children's 18-month campaign of treating me like an incompetent elderly woman would ultimately trigger the most strategic property lesson in our family's history, you need to understand exactly how my professional expertise had been developed over nearly 4 decades of helping families navigate the complex intersection of real estate, inheritance law, and family financial management, and how the quiet retirement lifestyle I had maintained concealed the very financial authority and property law expertise that would soon make their assumptions about my mental decline the most expensive mistake they had ever made. The professional foundation that built unshakable authority. The Chen family influence in Pacific Northwest real estate and financial planning hadn't been built through inherited wealth or family connections. It had been systematically developed through 2 generations of dedicated professional service, strategic client relationship building, and unwavering commitment to ensuring that family property and financial assets served family values rather than enabling manipulation, elder exploitation, or systematic attempts to circumvent proper estate planning and inheritance procedures. My father, Robert Chen, had immigrated to Oregon in 1952 with nothing but advanced degrees in economics from Beijing University and an unshakable determination to build a secure financial future for his family in America. Starting as a bank teller, despite his sophisticated educational background, he had worked his way up through the financial industry during the post-war economic boom, developing an exceptional understanding of property values, market trends, and most importantly, the legal frameworks necessary to protect family assets from exploitation and unauthorized manipulation. Robert had recognized early that the rapidly growing Pacific Northwest represented unprecedented opportunities for immigrant families who understood both real estate investment principles and the legal structures necessary to protect property assets across generations. His approach to financial planning had been characterized by meticulous attention to property law details, comprehensive understanding of tax implications and inheritance structures, and absolute commitment to ensuring that family real estate served the genuine intentions of property owners, rather than simply facilitating transfers to relatives who might lack appreciation, responsibility, or respect for the work and sacrifice required to build family wealth through property ownership. Property ownership is sacred responsibility, not just financial investment. Robert had often explained to clients and family members who sought his guidance on real estate planning and family asset protection. A family home isn't just real estate that can be bought and sold based on market conditions. It's the foundation of security, the symbol of achievement, and the legacy that should be protected and honored rather than treated as a commodity to be liquidated at the first opportunity for quick profit or family convenience. This philosophy had attracted a distinctive clientele of immigrant families, established professionals, and first-generation property owners who had worked hard to achieve homeownership in America and wanted to ensure that their real estate investments strengthened rather than corrupted family relationships, while providing lasting security and wealth-building opportunities for future generations who might face different challenges and opportunities. During the 1960s and 1970s, as Portland's real estate market began its transformation into one of the most valuable and competitive property markets in the nation, Robert had systematically expanded his influence in property law and financial planning through strategic partnerships with real estate attorneys, property investment specialists, and family wealth advisors who understood the unique challenges facing families who needed to protect substantial property assets from market manipulation, family exploitation, and the systematic threats that emerged when property values increased beyond typical family experience and understanding. The business expansion had been carefully designed to preserve the personalized attention and thorough family asset evaluation that distinguished effective property planning from simple real estate transactions, ensuring that expansion enhanced rather than compromised the quality of family financial guidance and the strategic sophistication of property protection throughout increasingly complex market conditions and family wealth management situations. Robert's property planning network had included real estate attorneys who specialized in family trust structures and inheritance protection, financial advisors who understood the intersection of property investment and long-term wealth building, tax specialists who could optimize property ownership for maximum family benefit, and estate planning professionals who could create comprehensive protection from exactly the kind of family manipulation and unauthorized transfer attempts that might threaten property security when elderly owners appeared vulnerable or confused. Property protection isn't about controlling adult children or managing family relationships through financial pressure. Robert had explained to prospective clients who worried about appearing manipulative or controlling through comprehensive estate planning and family trust structures. It's about ensuring that family property serves the values and intentions that created it while protecting assets from those who might view property ownership as automatic inheritance opportunity rather than responsibility that requires character and family commitment. By the early 1970s, Robert had established systematic approaches to property evaluation and family financial assessment that created comprehensive operational frameworks for recognizing genuine stewardship and responsibility while identifying entitlement, manipulation, or systematic family exploitation that should disqualify individuals from property inheritance or management authority, regardless of their biological relationship or social expectations about automatic asset transfer based on family connection alone. These frameworks weren't punitive systems designed to punish family members for normal human weaknesses, but rather protective mechanisms that preserved family property for those who would honor it while preventing its loss to those who viewed real estate as commodity to be liquidated rather than family legacy to be preserved and enhanced across generations. When I graduated from Portland State University in 1975 with dual degrees in finance and real estate law, Robert had immediately recognized opportunities for systematic practice expansion and professional development that could enhance family property planning capabilities while providing me with meaningful career advancement and leadership responsibilities that utilized my legal education and natural analytical abilities for understanding complex family dynamics and property protection planning. But my entry into the family financial practice hadn't been automatic nepotism or inherited position assignment based on family relationships alone. Robert had insisted that I spend my first 8 years working for other prestigious financial institutions and real estate law firms, gaining experience with different approaches to property management and family wealth planning, while developing professional credentials that would establish my expertise independent of family business connections or inherited professional relationships. I had started at First National Bank of Oregon, where I worked in their commercial real estate division, handling property loans, investment analysis, and client financial planning for some of the most complex real estate transactions in the Pacific Northwest region. The experience had been invaluable for understanding how sophisticated property owners approached real estate investment and what legal and financial strategies proved most effective for preserving both property values and family relationships across multiple generations of ownership and wealth transfer. The First National experience had included managing property portfolios worth over $50 million, conducting comprehensive market analysis for major real estate developments throughout Oregon and Washington, and developing specialized expertise in the legal frameworks that governed complex property ownership structures and family asset protection that would prove essential for my later career in family wealth management and property protection planning. From First National, I had moved to Morrison Associates Real Estate Law, where I specialized in family trust structures, inheritance planning, and the complex legal frameworks that govern property transfers within families who needed to balance individual inheritance rights with comprehensive asset protection and long-term family wealth preservation that required sophisticated understanding of both property law and family psychology. The Morrison and Associates experience had taught me exactly how property ownership could be protected from manipulation, exploitation, and unauthorized transfer attempts through systematic legal structures and family assessment protocols that identified potential threats to property security while ensuring that legitimate inheritance and family stewardship continued to serve family values and wealth-building objectives across multiple generations. Margaret's understanding of family property law and inheritance protection demonstrates sophisticated analytical capability that exceeds typical real estate legal practice, noted Patricia Morrison, senior partner at Morrison and Associates, during my performance evaluation and professional development assessment. She understands that every family property situation requires customized legal solutions that reflect unique family values, property characteristics, and protection requirements rather than standard approaches that might work for simple cases but fail when family dynamics become complicated by significant property values or inheritance pressures. The Morrison experience had included developing specialized expertise in property trust structures that could adapt ownership and inheritance based on family member behavior and demonstrated stewardship capability, comprehensive legal frameworks for preventing unauthorized property sales and manipulation attempts, and systematic assessment protocols for evaluating family member qualifications for property management and inheritance responsibility based on character and family commitment rather than biological relationships or social expectations alone. After 8 years of gaining comprehensive experience with the region's most prestigious financial institutions and real estate law firms, I had joined Pacific Northwest Financial Group as their specialist in family property planning and real estate trust management, where I would spend the next 27 years developing the expertise and professional relationships that would eventually prove essential for protecting my own family's property interests from manipulation and unauthorized transfer attempts by relatives who might mistake kindness for weakness or mental decline. The expertise that would soon become essential during my tenure at Pacific Northwest Financial Group, I had developed specialized knowledge in several cutting edge areas of property protection and family financial management that would prove crucial for my children's upcoming education about property law and family asset management. These included family trust structures and property protection mechanisms, inheritance law and estate planning for real estate assets, property investment analysis and market valuation expertise, comprehensive legal frameworks for preventing unauthorized property transfers and elder financial exploitation, and systematic family assessment protocols for ensuring property inheritance served family values rather than enabling manipulation or entitled behavior. My work at Pacific Northwest Financial Group had included designing property protection strategies for over 800 families throughout Oregon, Washington, and Northern California, ensuring that family homes and real estate investments remained under the control of legitimate owners while providing clear legal frameworks for preventing manipulation, unauthorized sales, and exploitation attempts by relatives who might mistake family generosity for incompetence or mental decline that could be exploited for financial advantage. The property protection strategies had included sophisticated trust structures that could modify inheritance and ownership authority based on family member behavior and demonstrated responsibility. Comprehensive monitoring systems for detecting unauthorized property manipulation or transfer attempts, legal frameworks for immediate intervention when property security was threatened by family exploitation or elder manipulation, and systematic assessment protocols for ensuring that property management and inheritance reflected genuine family values and stewardship capability rather than automatic entitlement based on biological relationships. Margaret's expertise in property protection and family trust management represents the gold standard for ensuring that real estate assets serve family intentions, rather than enabling manipulation or exploitation by relatives who might view elderly property owners as easy targets for financial schemes, had noted James Morrison, senior partner at Morrison and Associates, during professional recognition ceremonies that acknowledged my contributions to property law and family asset protection. Her systematic approaches to property law and inheritance planning have protected countless families from exactly the kind of schemes and manipulation attempts that unfortunately become more common as property values increase and family dynamics become complicated by inheritance pressures and financial desperation. The professional recognition had included board certification in real estate trust management from the American Association of Family Property Advisors, advanced certification in elder financial protection from the National Institute of Family Wealth Management, specialized training in recognizing and preventing family property manipulation and unauthorized transfer attempts from the Pacific Northwest Real Estate Protection Council, and ongoing education in the latest legal developments and protective strategies for safeguarding family property from exploitation and manipulation attempts. But perhaps most importantly, my career had provided comprehensive understanding of the legal tools and financial strategies available for ensuring that property manipulation attempts resulted in immediate consequences and educational outcomes rather than successful exploitation of elderly family members who might appear easy targets for relatives seeking quick financial gain through property schemes and inheritance manipulation that violated both legal standards and basic family respect. The advanced property protection capabilities that I had implemented during my senior years at Pacific Northwest Financial Group included specialized assessment tools for family relationship evaluation and property stewardship qualification, sophisticated documentation structures that created maximum flexibility for property ownership modification based on family member behavior, and demonstrated responsibility. Comprehensive legal frameworks that managed everything from initial family assessment to final property transfer implementation, while ensuring every detail reflected genuine family values and property stewardship capability, rather than social expectations about automatic inheritance rights or family property access. But what made my contributions to family property protection particularly valuable was the systematic development of legal strategies and family assessment relationships that created exclusive access to specialized property protection services, advanced family evaluation capabilities, and expert legal personnel who could execute complex property protection strategies with precision and professionalism that distinguished comprehensive family property management from basic real estate legal services and simple property transfer mechanisms. During the 1990s and early 2000s, I had pioneered several innovative approaches to family-based property protection that would become industry standards for families who wanted to ensure their real estate assets supported positive family values and relationships while remaining protected from manipulation, exploitation, and unauthorized transfer attempts that might threaten property security and family wealth preservation. The first major innovation had been the development of adaptive property trust structures, legal frameworks that could modify property ownership, management authority, and inheritance benefits based on ongoing family member behavior and demonstrated stewardship capability, rather than being fixed at the time of property acquisition or estate planning implementation. These structures allowed property owners to reward positive family behavior and genuine stewardship while reducing access and authority for those who demonstrated manipulation, exploitation, or systematic disrespect for property ownership and family values. Margaret's adaptive property trust structures provide families with legal tools that previous generations could never access for protecting real estate assets from manipulation and exploitation, explained Dr. James Richardson, a family wealth psychologist who had collaborated on the behavior assessment protocols that supported property protection planning. Property owners can ensure that their real estate investments serve family values and stewardship principles while remaining protected from relatives who might view property ownership as automatic inheritance opportunity rather than responsibility that requires character and family commitment. The adaptive structures included sophisticated legal mechanisms for family behavior monitoring, stewardship assessment integration, property management evaluation, and ownership modification that could respond to changing family circumstances while maintaining legal security and tax efficiency that protected assets while encouraging positive family relationships and genuine property stewardship across multiple generations. The second major innovation had been comprehensive family stewardship assessment, systematic methods for incorporating behavioral evaluation and family relationship quality into property ownership and inheritance structures. This wasn't about controlling adult children or managing family relationships through property authority, but rather about ensuring that family real estate assets remained protected from manipulation while supporting the values and stewardship principles that had created successful property ownership and wealth building. The stewardship assessment protocols included detailed evaluation frameworks for measuring respect, responsibility, property care capability, and ongoing demonstration of character qualities that reflected family values and property ownership principles. These assessments weren't subjective or manipulative. They were objective, measurable criteria that provided clear guidelines for property ownership and inheritance decisions based on behavioral evidence and demonstrated stewardship capability, rather than personal preference, emotional manipulation, or social pressure about automatic property inheritance based on family relationships alone. The comprehensive stewardship assessment protocols provide objective standards for property ownership and inheritance decisions that protect family real estate while ensuring continued property security and value enhancement, noted Professor Sarah Chen of Oregon State University's School of Real Estate and Property Management, who had studied the long-term effectiveness of family-based property protection planning. Families can make property ownership and inheritance decisions based on demonstrated behavior and stewardship capability, rather than hope, assumption, or social pressure about automatic property transfer that might compromise property security and family wealth preservation. The third innovation had been multi-generational property evaluation systems. Comprehensive approaches to assessing family stewardship patterns and predicting long-term property management capabilities that could guide ownership and inheritance decisions, not just for immediate family members, but for future generations who would be affected by current property transfer and ownership decisions. These evaluation systems included family stewardship pattern analysis, generational behavior assessment, long-term property management prediction, and comprehensive family dynamic evaluation that could identify which family members would enhance property values and maintain family stewardship principles across multiple generations while protecting assets from those who might view property ownership as commodity to be liquidated rather than family legacy to be preserved and enhanced. By the early 2000s, as Pacific Northwest property values became increasingly complex, and family property protection became more sophisticated due to rising real estate values and increased inheritance pressures, I had systematically expanded family property planning capabilities through strategic practice development and professional relationship coordination that created comprehensive property protection and family assessment services rather than simple legal documentation and basic property transfer that characterized less sophisticated real estate planning operations. The retirement strategy that concealed continuing authority. The retirement planning that I had implemented during my final years at Pacific Northwest Financial Group had been strategically designed to maintain access to professional resources and legal authority while encouraging exactly the kind of manipulative behavior that would eventually provide clear justification for comprehensive property lessons and permanent financial education that would teach my children the importance of respecting property ownership and family, financial boundaries. Every aspect of my public presentation during retirement had been carefully chosen to reinforce assumptions about declining mental capacity and limited continuing involvement in property management and financial planning, while concealing the comprehensive legal authority and systematic property protection that continued to operate through professional relationships and trust structures that protected family assets from exactly the kind of manipulation and unauthorized transfer attempts that Jennifer, Michael, and David were currently planning. The modest retirement lifestyle that I had maintained during my later career years had been strategically designed to encourage exactly the kind of manipulative behavior that would eventually provide clear justification for systematic property protection consequences and permanent family education that required demonstration of respect for property ownership, rather than simple assumption that elderly parents represented easy targets for real estate manipulation and unauthorized asset transfer based on perceived mental decline or family vulnerability. My daily routine during retirement had been deliberately structured to create the impression of a typical elderly widow whose property management activities were limited to basic home maintenance and routine financial tasks, while concealing the sophisticated property protection systems and systematic legal authority that continued to operate through professional relationships and trust structures that monitored family behavior and protected property assets from manipulation attempts and unauthorized transfer schemes. But what visitors to my beautifully maintained Craftsman house on Laurelhurst Drive couldn't see was the comprehensive property management command center that occupied the converted basement office, where I maintained detailed documentation of all property ownership structures and family trust arrangements, professional-grade communication equipment for immediate contact with real estate attorneys and property protection specialists, and computer systems with specialized software for monitoring property records, market values, and any attempts at unauthorized transactions or manipulation of family real estate assets. The hidden office included secure storage for all property deeds, legal documentation, and family trust structures, professional recording equipment for documenting suspicious conversations and manipulation attempts, comprehensive market analysis tools for tracking property values and detecting unauthorized assessment or marketing activities, and immediate communication access to real estate attorneys, property protection specialists, and financial advisors who could implement emergency legal action within hours of discovering unauthorized property schemes or elder exploitation attempts. But perhaps most importantly, the basement command center included comprehensive communication systems that could provide immediate contact with property law attorneys, real estate protection specialists, and family asset coordinators who could implement emergency legal action and systematic property protection within hours of documented manipulation attempts or family exploitation that required immediate protective intervention and comprehensive financial education to prevent continued unauthorized schemes and property manipulation. The quiet retirement house that had encouraged my children's assumptions about mental decline and property vulnerability was about to become the command center for the most comprehensive property protection lesson in our family's history. Demonstrating exactly what happens when you attempt unauthorized real estate manipulation while targeting someone whose professional expertise was specifically designed to prevent exactly this type of family property exploitation and inheritance scheming. The family trust structure. My children never understood what made my children's secret property scheme particularly foolish was their complete misunderstanding of the sophisticated family trust structure that actually controlled property ownership and inheritance for our family's real estate assets. Despite years of conversations about estate planning and family financial management, Jennifer, Michael, and David had somehow convinced themselves that traditional property ownership and simple inheritance planning governed our family's assets, when in reality, every piece of property and financial resource had been carefully integrated into comprehensive trust structures that required specific authorization and family stewardship demonstration for any ownership changes or property transfers. The Margaret Rose Chen Family Property Trust had been established in 1995 and systematically expanded throughout my career to include not just the family home, but all real estate holdings, investment properties, and related financial assets that supported property ownership and family wealth building. The trust structure had been designed with sophisticated legal mechanisms that required comprehensive family assessment and stewardship evaluation before any property changes, transfers, or inheritance implementation could occur. The trust documentation included detailed behavioral expectations and family relationship quality standards that governed access to property information, management authority, and inheritance consideration. These weren't arbitrary controls or manipulative family management tools. They were professional legal structures that protected property assets while ensuring that family real estate continued to serve family values and stewardship principles, rather than enabling manipulation, exploitation, or unauthorized transfer attempts by relatives who might view property ownership as automatic entitlement rather than responsibility, requiring demonstrated character and family commitment. But perhaps most importantly, the trust structure included comprehensive monitoring and assessment protocols that provided immediate notification of any attempts to access property information, contact real estate professionals, or initiate unauthorized transactions related to family property assets. These monitoring systems had been documenting my children's secret activities for months, providing detailed evidence of their manipulation attempts and unauthorized property schemes that would soon trigger the most comprehensive property protection education in our family's history. The property protection protocols included systematic documentation of all family member interactions with property professionals, comprehensive analysis of unauthorized property inquiries and manipulation attempts, legal frameworks for immediate intervention when property security was threatened, and educational consequences that would ensure family members understood the connection between property stewardship and inheritance benefits while learning to respect property ownership and family financial boundaries through direct experience rather than theoretical discussion. Have you ever wondered what happens when someone tries to manipulate the wrong elderly property owner while assuming their mental decline makes them easy targets for real estate schemes? Drop a comment below and let me know, because this foundation story is just the beginning, and my children were about to discover that some elderly parents don't just own valuable properties, they control the entire legal framework that makes property ownership secure in the first place. If you want to see how this professional property expertise develops into a comprehensive real estate lesson and hear more about the legal authority and family trust management that would soon eliminate my children's assumptions about unauthorized property sales, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. The stage has been set, the legal authority has been established, and my children's complete misunderstanding of property law and family trust management would soon trigger the most comprehensive real estate education that anyone in our neighborhood's history had ever experienced.
Unauthorized contact with property professionals, and progressive assumption of authority over property decisions without proper legal foundation or family consultation. The training had provided comprehensive education about the legal frameworks available for property protection, including trust structures that could prevent unauthorized transfers, monitoring systems that could detect manipulation attempts, and immediate intervention protocols that could stop property exploitation before elderly property owners suffered financial losses or property transfer that violated their intentions and ownership rights. But perhaps most importantly, the training had included extensive education about the sophisticated manipulation tactics used by adult children who appeared to be providing legitimate family support while actually implementing systematic property exploitation schemes. These tactics included emotional manipulation designed to create guilt about burdening family members with property responsibilities, strategic misinformation about property values and market conditions, and systematic undermining of elderly parents' confidence in their own decision-making abilities and property management capabilities. The advanced training had also included comprehensive education about the professional networks and legal relationships necessary for implementing effective property protection, including collaboration with real estate attorneys who specialized in elder protection, financial advisors who understood family manipulation tactics, property assessment professionals who could provide objective market analysis, and family counselors who could address the emotional aspects of family property disputes and manipulation attempts. Developing specialized expertise in family trust structures and property protection. Following my completion of the advanced training program, I had been promoted to Senior Property Protection Specialist at Pacific Northwest Financial Group, where I spent the next 15 years developing specialized expertise in family trust structures and comprehensive property protection strategies that could prevent even the most sophisticated manipulation attempts while preserving legitimate family relationships and inheritance planning processes. The senior position had provided opportunities to work with some of the most complex and challenging family property protection cases in the Pacific Northwest, including situations where adult children had obtained partial legal authority through guardianship proceedings, cases where multiple family members were competing for property control, and sophisticated manipulation schemes that involved professional accomplices and fraudulent legal documentation. One of the most challenging cases had involved the Patterson family, where two adult sons had spent 3 years implementing a comprehensive manipulation campaign designed to gain control of their father's valuable commercial property portfolio in downtown Portland. The sons had systematically documented their father's supposed mental decline, while secretly negotiating with property developers who were interested in purchasing the properties for major development projects that would have provided substantial financial returns for the family. The Patterson case represented one of the most sophisticated property manipulation schemes we had encountered, I had noted in professional documentation that became required reading for property protection specialists throughout the region. The adult children had obtained professional legal advice about guardianship procedures, hired private investigators to document their father's daily activities and supposed confusion, and even arranged for medical evaluations that they hoped would support claims about his mental incapacity and inability to manage complex property ownership responsibilities. The Patterson case had required comprehensive legal intervention and family assessment that revealed the full scope of the manipulation campaign, while protecting Mr. Patterson's property ownership and business relationships from unauthorized interference and manipulation attempts. The case had also provided valuable experience in coordinating with multiple professional service providers and legal specialists who could address different aspects of complex property protection, while ensuring that elderly property owners maintained complete control over their assets and business decisions. The successful resolution of the Patterson case had included legal action against the adult children, restoration of complete property control to Mr. Patterson, implementation of comprehensive property protection monitoring, and development of new legal frameworks that could prevent similar manipulation attempts while preserving legitimate family business relationships and inheritance planning processes. But perhaps most importantly, the Patterson case had demonstrated the necessity of proactive property protection planning and family trust structures that could prevent manipulation attempts before they reached advanced stages where elderly property owners might suffer significant financial losses or property transfers that violated their intentions and business objectives. The development of innovative property protection strategies. During my tenure as Senior Property Protection Specialist, I had been responsible for developing several innovative property protection strategies that would eventually become industry standards for families who needed to protect substantial real estate assets from manipulation and unauthorized transfer attempts, while preserving legitimate family relationships and inheritance planning processes. The first major innovation had been the development of comprehensive property monitoring systems that could detect unauthorized contact with property professionals, suspicious inquiries about property values and ownership, and systematic attempts to access property information or initiate unauthorized transactions related to family real estate assets. The monitoring systems included automated alerts for any contact with real estate agents, property assessors, or potential buyers related to family properties, comprehensive tracking of property record access and information requests, systematic documentation of family member inquiries about property values and ownership structures, and immediate notification protocols for property owners when unauthorized activities were detected. Margaret's property monitoring systems provide families with unprecedented capability for detecting property manipulation attempts before they reach advanced stages, had explained attorney Robert Kim, a real estate law specialist who collaborated on the system development. Property owners can identify and address manipulation attempts immediately, rather than discovering unauthorized activities after significant property damage or transfer has already occurred. The monitoring systems had been tested through several high-profile cases where family members had attempted sophisticated property manipulation schemes, and the results had demonstrated remarkable effectiveness for early detection and prevention of unauthorized real estate activities, while providing comprehensive documentation that could support legal action against individuals who attempted property exploitation. The second major innovation had been adaptive family trust structures that could modify property ownership and inheritance arrangements based on family member behavior and demonstrated stewardship capability, rather than maintaining fixed inheritance plans that might reward manipulation or exploitation attempts. The adaptive trust structures included behavioral assessment protocols that could evaluate family member respect for property ownership and inheritance planning, systematic documentation of family relationships and demonstrated stewardship capability, legal frameworks for modifying property inheritance based on family member behavior and character demonstration, and comprehensive protection mechanisms that could prevent unauthorized property transfers while preserving legitimate family inheritance planning. The adaptive trust structures provide families with legal tools for ensuring that property inheritance reflects family values and stewardship capability, rather than simply transferring assets based on biological relationships, had noted Professor Janet Williams of Lewis and Clark Law School, who had studied the long-term effectiveness of innovative property protection strategies. Families can ensure that property inheritance rewards character and family commitment, while protecting assets from those who might view property ownership as automatic entitlement rather than responsibility requiring demonstrated stewardship and respect. Quote, "The adaptive structures had been implemented for over 200 families throughout Oregon and Washington, with remarkable success rates for preventing property manipulation while preserving positive family relationships and ensuring that property inheritance continued to serve family values and wealth-building objectives across multiple generations. The third innovation had been comprehensive family education programs that provided family members with complete understanding of property ownership principles, inheritance planning processes, and the legal consequences of attempting unauthorized property manipulation or elder financial exploitation. The education programs included detailed information about property law and ownership rights, comprehensive explanation of inheritance planning and family trust structures, systematic education about the legal and financial consequences of property manipulation attempts, and ongoing family communication and relationship building that could prevent misunderstandings and manipulation attempts, while preserving positive family dynamics and legitimate inheritance planning. Building the professional network that would protect my family. Throughout my career development and specialized training, I had systematically built professional relationships and network connections that would eventually prove essential for protecting my own family's property interests from manipulation and unauthorized transfer attempts by relatives who might mistake retirement lifestyle for weakness or mental decline. The professional network included real estate attorneys who specialized in family property protection and elder financial security, property assessment professionals who could provide objective market analysis and detect unauthorized valuation activities, financial advisors who understood family manipulation tactics and property protection strategies, family counselors who could address the emotional aspects of property disputes and manipulation attempts, and law enforcement specialists who could investigate and prosecute elder financial exploitation. But perhaps most importantly, the professional network included comprehensive communication and coordination systems that could implement immediate property protection responses within hours of detecting manipulation attempts or unauthorized property activities, ensuring that elderly property owners received immediate professional support and legal protection when family exploitation attempts were discovered. Attorney Sarah Chen, who specialized in elder property protection and family financial security, had become a key collaborator in developing comprehensive property protection strategies and legal frameworks that could address even the most sophisticated manipulation attempts while preserving family relationships and inheritance planning processes. Margaret's professional network and property protection expertise represent the most comprehensive elder financial security resources available in the Pacific Northwest, Attorney Chen had explained during professional conferences and training programs. Her systematic approach to property protection provides families with complete security from manipulation and exploitation, while ensuring that legitimate inheritance planning and family relationships continue to serve family values and wealth-building objectives. Dr. Patricia Wong, a family counselor who specialized in elder financial exploitation and family property disputes, had provided essential expertise in addressing the emotional and psychological aspects of property manipulation, while helping families rebuild relationships and trust after manipulation attempts had been discovered and addressed. The emotional damage from family property manipulation can be devastating for elderly parents who discover that adult children have been systematically planning to exploit their property ownership and inheritance planning, Dr. Wong had explained during family counseling sessions and professional development programs. Comprehensive property protection requires not just legal and financial security, but also emotional support and family relationship rebuilding that can restore trust and communication while preventing future manipulation attempts. Quote, Property assessment specialist Michael Torres had developed innovative techniques for detecting unauthorized property valuation activities and manipulation attempts, while providing objective market analysis that could support property protection decisions and legal action against individuals who attempted unauthorized real estate schemes. Property manipulation schemes typically involve unauthorized contact with assessment professionals and systematic attempts to obtain property valuation information that can support unauthorized sale or transfer plans, Torres had explained during property protection coordination meetings. Early detection of these activities provides property owners with immediate notification of manipulation attempts, while creating comprehensive documentation that can support legal action and property protection responses. The professional network also included financial advisor Janet Kim, who specialized in family wealth protection and inheritance planning strategies that could prevent property manipulation while preserving family financial security and legitimate inheritance planning processes. Family property protection requires comprehensive understanding of both real estate law and family financial planning, Kim had noted during wealth management consultations and property protection planning sessions. Effective protection strategies must address immediate manipulation threats, while ensuring that long-term family financial security and inheritance planning continue to serve family values and wealth-building objectives across multiple generations. The retirement strategy that maintained professional authority. As I approached retirement age in the early 2010s, I had carefully planned a transition strategy that would maintain access to professional resources and property protection authority, while creating the appearance of typical elderly retirement lifestyle that might encourage exactly the type of manipulation attempts that would provide comprehensive education opportunities for family members who might mistake kindness for weakness or mental decline. The retirement planning had included establishment of consulting relationships with Pacific Northwest Financial Group that preserved my access to property protection resources and professional networks, while reducing daily administrative responsibilities and allowing for more flexible scheduling that could accommodate family activities and personal interests. The consulting arrangements had been carefully structured to maintain my professional credentials and legal authority, while providing comprehensive access to property monitoring systems, family trust management resources, and immediate intervention capabilities that could address manipulation attempts or unauthorized property activities within hours of detection. But perhaps most importantly, the retirement planning had included systematic preparation for the possibility that family members might attempt property manipulation or unauthorized transfer schemes, including comprehensive documentation of property ownership structures, detailed preparation of legal responses and intervention protocols, and strategic coordination with professional network members who could implement immediate property protection measures when manipulation attempts were discovered. The retirement lifestyle that I had maintained since 2012 had been deliberately designed to create the impression of typical elderly widow activities and interests, while concealing the continuing professional authority and property protection capabilities that operated through consulting relationships and professional network coordination. My daily routine had included regular community activities, volunteer work with local organizations, and social engagement that reinforced assumptions about typical elderly retirement lifestyle, while providing cover for ongoing property protection monitoring and professional consultation activities that ensured complete security from manipulation attempts and unauthorized property schemes. But what family members and community observers couldn't see was the sophisticated property protection command center that operated from my home office, where I maintained real-time monitoring of all family property assets, immediate communication access to property protection specialists and legal intervention resources, and comprehensive documentation systems that could detect and respond to manipulation attempts within hours of their initiation. The Hidden Command Center included secure communication systems for coordination with property protection specialists, comprehensive property monitoring software that tracked all family real estate assets and detected unauthorized activities, detailed documentation systems for recording family member behavior and potential manipulation attempts, and immediate intervention protocols that could implement legal protection measures and family education responses when unauthorized property activities were discovered. The professional expertise that would soon be essential. The 4 decades of property protection expertise and professional network development that I had systematically built throughout my career would soon prove essential for addressing the most sophisticated manipulation campaign in our family's history, as Jennifer, Michael, and David implemented their systematic property exploitation scheme, while completely underestimating the professional resources and legal authority available for property protection and family education. The comprehensive property monitoring systems had been documenting their unauthorized activities for months, providing detailed evidence of their manipulation attempts and unauthorized contact with real estate professionals, while creating comprehensive legal foundation for property protection responses and family education implementation. The professional network that I had developed throughout my career was prepared to implement immediate intervention and legal action that would not only stop their unauthorized property scheme but provide comprehensive education about property law, family respect, and the serious consequences of attempting elder financial exploitation against individuals who possess the professional expertise and legal authority necessary for complete property protection and family consequence implementation. But perhaps most importantly, the sophisticated property protection strategies and family trust structures that I had developed throughout my career had been specifically designed to address exactly the type of manipulation attempt that my children were currently implementing, ensuring that their unauthorized property scheme would encounter immediate, comprehensive, and educationally devastating consequences that would restore proper family relationships while protecting property ownership and family financial security. The quiet retirement lifestyle that had encouraged their manipulation attempts was about to be revealed as carefully planned preparation for the most comprehensive property protection and family education response in our region's history, demonstrating exactly what happens when adult children attempt unauthorized property manipulation against elderly parents who possess 4 decades of professional expertise in preventing exactly this type of family financial exploitation. Have you ever wondered what professional expertise and authority might be hidden behind a quiet, elderly retirement lifestyle? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Because my children were about to discover that some elderly parents don't just own valuable property, they control comprehensive professional networks and legal systems that can implement immediate consequences for family manipulation and unauthorized property schemes. If you're enjoying this story of professional expertise and family property protection, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell for tomorrow's episode, where I'll reveal exactly how my children's manipulation campaign had been progressing and the specific unauthorized activities that would soon trigger the most comprehensive property protection education in our family's history. The professional foundation has been established, the Property Protection Authority has been demonstrated, and my children's complete misunderstanding of elderly expertise and legal capability would soon trigger consequences that would reshape their understanding of family relationships, property respect, and the serious implications of attempting financial exploitation against individuals who possess the professional knowledge and authority necessary for comprehensive property protection and family education implementation. The relationship between my 3 children and me hadn't always been poisoned by greed and systematic property manipulation. For nearly 3 decades before Jennifer, Michael, and David revealed their true characters through their secret house-selling scheme, we had built something genuinely beautiful. A mother-children bond characterized by mutual respect, collaborative life planning, and the kind of unconditional love that created both personal fulfillment and practical advantages for their professional development and personal growth throughout their entire adult lives as successful professionals in their respective industries. Those golden years of our family relationship weren't marked by dependency or financial obligation, but rather by voluntary collaboration and mutual support that provided benefits for all of us while respecting individual autonomy and personal goals that complemented rather than conflicted with our family connection and shared values about professional integrity, personal responsibility, and collaborative problem-solving that had characterized Chen family traditions since my father Robert's immigration to America in the 1950s. Sometimes my children needed to make independent decisions and pursue separate priorities that enhanced rather than threatened our family relationships, and I had always encouraged their professional independence while offering strategic guidance and career planning expertise when they sought it. From the time Jennifer graduated from University of Oregon's Business School, Michael completed his engineering degree at Oregon State, and David finished his law program at Lewis and Clark, until their systematic manipulation campaign began in early 2023, our interactions had been characterized by regular communication that enhanced rather than limited their individual development and professional success in their respective fields of marketing, engineering, and legal practice. Jennifer's professional development and early success. Jennifer, my eldest child, had established herself as a highly successful marketing director at Northwest Digital Solutions, one of Portland's premier technology marketing firms. Her specialty in healthcare technology marketing and client relationship management had earned significant recognition throughout the regional business community, and her marketing campaigns for medical device companies had been featured in industry publications that demonstrated exceptional professional performance and innovative strategic thinking that reflected sophisticated understanding of contemporary healthcare business development principles and corporate client management. But what had once made me incredibly proud wasn't just Jennifer's professional success. It was the way she had achieved it through individual effort, creative thinking, and ethical business practices, while maintaining strong family relationships and personal values that reflected the principles we had always shared about hard work, professional integrity, and collaborative problem-solving that enhanced rather than compromised personal relationships and community involvement throughout her career development and social advancement. Our monthly family dinner tradition had begun when Jennifer first established her own apartment after graduating from the University of Oregon in 2008. Every first Sunday of the month, she would drive from her Southeast Portland apartment to my house on Laurelhurst Drive for elaborate home-cooked meals and conversation that ranged from professional challenges and career planning to personal relationships and life philosophy that provided consistent family connection without interfering with her individual social life and romantic relationships that were developing throughout her 20s and early 30s. These weren't obligatory family visits driven by guilt or expectation. They were genuinely enjoyable gatherings that we both looked forward to and that provided systematic opportunities for family communication and collaborative problem-solving that enhanced her strategic thinking and decision-making capabilities while maintaining emotional connection and mutual support that strengthened rather than limited her individual development and professional success. "Mom, I actually rescheduled a client meeting today because I didn't want to miss our monthly tradition," Jennifer had mentioned during one of our regular gatherings in spring 2015. "These conversations help me think through challenges and opportunities in ways that I just can't replicate anywhere else. Your perspective on professional relationship management and strategic planning has been invaluable for my career development and success throughout the technology marketing industry." The monthly dinners had provided natural opportunities for me to share insights from my financial career and property planning experience that could enhance Jennifer's client relationship strategies and business development approaches without crossing boundaries into inappropriate involvement in her professional activities or decision-making processes that needed to remain entirely under her control and direction based on her marketing expertise and professional judgment. I could offer strategic thinking frameworks and analytical approaches that helped her evaluate opportunities and challenges, while ensuring that all decisions and implementations were entirely her own choices based on her professional knowledge and personal priorities, rather than family pressure or inappropriate influence that might compromise her individual achievement and professional reputation throughout the competitive technology marketing and healthcare business development industry. During Jennifer's mid-20s, when she had been considering whether to accept a senior marketing position at Northwest Digital Solutions that would require significant client relationship responsibility and team coordination, our discussions had provided comprehensive analysis of the career implications, professional development opportunities, and long-term business trajectory considerations that helped her understand the full scope of the opportunity, while ensuring the choice was entirely her own based on personal goals and professional satisfaction rather than family expectations. "I want to make sure I'm evaluating this senior position for the right reasons and with complete understanding of both the advancement opportunities and management obligations involved," Jennifer had explained when seeking my perspective on the career development possibility that would significantly enhance her professional responsibilities and industry influence. "Your experience with professional management and long-term strategic planning helps me understand considerations that might not be obvious from my current position within the firm. The guidance I provided had been based on financial expertise and analytical capability rather than family authority or emotional manipulation that might compromise her decision-making autonomy. I helped her develop systematic approaches to evaluating the position requirements, understanding the client relationship responsibilities and project coordination obligations, and assessing whether the opportunity aligned with her personal values and long-term career goals that would affect her professional satisfaction and industry advancement throughout her marketing and healthcare technology consulting career. But the final decision had been entirely her own, based on individual judgment about professional challenge and career development priorities that reflected her personal ambitions and strategic thinking, rather than family influence or business pressure that might compromise her individual achievement and professional independence throughout the technology marketing and healthcare business development industry. When Jennifer had ultimately accepted the senior marketing position, the celebration dinner we shared had been genuine recognition of her individual achievement and professional competence, rather than family pride and reflected glory or inherited advantages that might diminish her personal accomplishment and career success. I was proud of her advancement because it represented the culmination of years of hard work, creative thinking, and ethical professional behavior that demonstrated character and capability that would serve her well throughout her career and personal life. Michael's engineering excellence and family bond. Michael, my middle child, had developed into an exceptional structural engineer at Pacific Northwest Engineering Group, where his specialty in sustainable building design and earthquake-resistant construction had earned him recognition as one of Portland's most innovative young engineers. His work on several high-profile green building projects throughout Oregon had been featured in engineering journals and environmental publications that demonstrated his commitment to both technical excellence and environmental responsibility. What made me particularly proud of Michael's achievements was his systematic approach to engineering challenges and his commitment to sustainable design principles that reflected both professional competence and personal values about environmental stewardship and community responsibility. His engineering projects had included affordable housing developments that provided sustainable living options for working families, commercial buildings that achieved LEED certification while maintaining cost-effectiveness, and innovative seismic retrofitting projects that enhanced building safety while preserving historic architecture throughout Portland's diverse neighborhoods. Our weekly coffee meetings have become a cherished tradition that began when Michael moved to his own apartment in the Pearl District after graduating from Oregon State University's engineering school in 2010. Every Thursday morning, he would stop by my house for coffee and pastries before heading to his office, creating consistent opportunities for family connection and professional discussion that enhanced his problem-solving approaches while respecting his independence and individual decision-making authority. These weekly conversations provide me with analytical frameworks and strategic thinking approaches that improve my engineering project management and client relationship capabilities, Michael had explained during one of our regular Thursday morning meetings in summer 2016. Your financial background and systematic problem-solving experience help me understand project complexity and client management considerations that enhance my professional effectiveness and career development. The coffee meetings had included discussions about project management strategies, client relationship development, and the analytical approaches that could enhance his engineering practice, while ensuring that all professional decisions remained entirely under his control, based on his technical expertise and engineering judgment, rather than family involvement or inappropriate influence in professional activities. During Michael's late 20s, when he had been offered a partnership opportunity at Pacific Northwest Engineering Group that would require significant financial investment and long-term professional commitment, our discussions had provided comprehensive analysis of the business implications, financial considerations, and career development aspects that helped him evaluate the opportunity, while ensuring the decision reflected his individual goals and professional priorities. The partnership opportunity represents a major career milestone, but it also involves substantial financial commitment and increased business responsibility that I want to evaluate carefully, Michael had explained during our partnership evaluation discussions. Your experience with financial planning and business development helps me understand the long-term implications and strategic considerations that will affect both my professional advancement and personal financial security. The analytical framework I provided had included systematic evaluation of the partnership terms, financial projections for the investment requirements, and strategic assessment of the long-term career implications, while ensuring that all analysis supported his individual decision-making, rather than influencing his choice toward family preferences or inappropriate business involvement. Michael had ultimately decided to accept the partnership opportunity, and his success as a partner at Pacific Northwest Engineering Group had validated his decision-making capability and professional judgment, while demonstrating the value of collaborative family discussion and analytical support that enhanced rather than replaced individual professional competence and strategic thinking. David's legal career and professional achievement. David, my youngest child, had followed a legal career path that led to his current position as an associate attorney at Morrison, Kim & Associates, one of Portland's most respected business law firms. His specialty in real estate law and property development had created interesting professional overlap with my own background in property planning and family financial management, leading to particularly engaging discussions about legal trends, property market developments, and the evolving landscape of real estate law throughout Oregon and the Pacific Northwest. What made David's legal career particularly satisfying was his commitment to ethical practice and client service that reflected both professional competence and personal integrity. His legal work had included representation of first-time homebuyers, assistance with complex property transfers, and legal support for small business development that demonstrated his commitment to serving clients with varying financial resources and legal needs, rather than focusing exclusively on high-fee corporate clients or prestigious legal transactions. Our bi-weekly lunch meetings had developed naturally after David completed his law degree at Lewis & Clark Law School in 2012 and began his legal practice. Every other Tuesday, we would meet at various restaurants throughout Portland for leisurely lunches and professional discussions that provided opportunities for legal analysis and career planning conversation while respecting his independence and professional autonomy. The legal profession presents unique challenges and opportunities that benefit from experienced perspective and analytical discussion, David had noted during one of our regular lunch meetings in fall 2017. Your background in property law and financial planning provides insights that enhance my understanding of client needs and legal strategy development throughout my real estate law practice. The lunch conversations had included analysis of legal trends and market developments, discussion of challenging cases and client relationship management, and exploration of long-term career planning and professional development opportunities that could enhance his legal practice while ensuring all professional decisions remained entirely under his individual control and judgment. During David's early career development, when he had been considering whether to specialize in real estate law or pursue broader business legal practice, our discussions had provided comprehensive analysis of the specialization benefits, market opportunities, and career development implications that helped him understand the professional landscape, while ensuring his choice reflected his individual interests and professional goals. Real estate law offers opportunities for specialization and expertise development, but it also requires significant market knowledge and client relationship building that will affect my long-term career trajectory, David had explained during our specialization evaluation discussions. Your experience with property law and real estate markets helps me understand the professional requirements and strategic considerations that will influence my career development and practice success. Quote, the analytical framework I provided had included assessment of the Portland real estate market trends, evaluation of specialization opportunities and challenges, and strategic planning for professional development that would enhance his legal expertise while ensuring his career choices reflected his individual professional interests and personal satisfaction rather than family expectations or inappropriate career influence. David's decision to specialize in real estate law had proven highly successful, leading to recognition within Portland's legal community and professional advancement that validated his individual judgment and career planning capability, while demonstrating the value of collaborative family analysis and strategic discussion that enhanced rather than replaced his professional decision-making and legal expertise. The family property education and shared understanding. During the golden years of our family relationships, all three of my children had demonstrated genuine interest in understanding property ownership principles, family financial planning, and the legal frameworks that governed real estate investment and inheritance planning. These discussions weren't attempts to create dependency or inappropriate family control, but rather educational conversations that helped them understand sophisticated financial concepts and property management principles that could enhance their individual professional capabilities and personal financial security. Understanding property ownership and family financial planning provides foundation for personal wealth building and professional competence that enhances rather than limits individual achievement and career development, I had explained during family education discussions that became more detailed as my children matured and began considering their own property ownership and investment opportunities. The property education had included comprehensive discussion of real estate investment principles, property law and ownership structures, family financial planning and wealth-building strategies, and the sophisticated legal frameworks that protected property ownership while ensuring that family assets served family values and long-term wealth preservation rather than short-term financial pressures or individual convenience. Jennifer had shown particular interest in understanding property investment strategies and market analysis techniques that could enhance her own financial planning and investment decision-making. Her marketing background had provided analytical foundation for understanding market trends and investment evaluation, while our family discussions had enhanced her knowledge of property law and financial planning principles that could support her individual wealth building and professional development. Learning about property investment and family financial planning enhances my understanding of market dynamics and client relationship management throughout my marketing career, Jennifer had noted during family education discussions that provided foundation for her individual financial planning and professional development. The analytical frameworks and strategic thinking approaches apply to both property investment and professional marketing challenges. Michael had demonstrated natural aptitude for understanding property law and construction-related legal requirements that complemented his engineering expertise and professional practice. His technical background had provided foundation for understanding property development and construction law, while our family discussions had enhanced his knowledge of property ownership structures and financial planning that could support his engineering career and personal investment opportunities. Property law and construction regulations intersect significantly with structural engineering practice, so understanding family property planning enhances my professional competence and client service capabilities. Michael had explained during family education sessions that provided both professional development and personal financial planning benefits. The legal frameworks and analytical approaches improve both my engineering practice and personal investment decision-making. David's legal education and real estate law specialty had created natural foundation for understanding sophisticated property ownership structures and family financial planning, while our discussions had provided practical experience and case study analysis that enhanced his professional legal knowledge and client service capabilities. Family property planning discussions provide real-world application of legal principles and practical experience with property law implementation that enhances my professional legal practice and client service effectiveness. David had noted during family education conversations that supported both his career development and personal financial understanding. The case studies and analytical frameworks improve my legal expertise and professional competence throughout my real estate law practice. The family traditions that built deep connection. The holiday celebrations during those golden years had been joyful occasions that brought together our immediate family and close friends for celebrations that reflected our shared values and traditions, while accommodating individual preferences and scheduling requirements that respected everyone's personal commitments and relationship priorities throughout their professional and social communities. Christmas celebrations had included elaborate family dinners with traditional recipes that reflected both our Chinese heritage and American family traditions, combined with contemporary additions and modifications that reflected changing family preferences and dietary considerations that made celebrations inclusive and enjoyable for everyone who participated in family gatherings and holiday observances. The gift-giving traditions had emphasized thoughtful selection and personal significance rather than expensive display or competitive spending that might create pressure or inappropriate focus on material considerations rather than family connection and relationship appreciation that represented the authentic meaning and emotional satisfaction of holiday celebrations and family traditions. I always look forward to our family celebrations because they provide consistent opportunities for connection and tradition that enhance rather than complicate my individual life and professional responsibilities. Jennifer had mentioned during holiday planning discussions that had characterized our collaborative approach to family gathering coordination and tradition maintenance. The celebrations feel authentic and meaningful rather than obligatory or stressful, which makes them genuinely rewarding experiences that I want to share with anyone I'm in a serious relationship with. Quote, the family celebration traditions had provided natural opportunities for evaluating romantic partners and assessing their compatibility with family values and professional relationships, while also creating enjoyable social experiences that enhanced rather than threatened individual romantic relationships through positive family integration and mutual support for relationship development and long-term compatibility. The summer vacation traditions had included annual family trips to the Oregon coast, where we would rent a large beach house near Cannon Beach for a week each July, enjoying outdoor activities, recreational beach time, and leisurely conversations that provided uninterrupted time for family connection and relationship maintenance, without the distractions and scheduling pressures that characterized normal daily routines and professional responsibilities. These annual retreat experiences had been particularly valuable for maintaining family communication and collaborative problem-solving throughout my children's professional development and personal growth, providing systematic opportunities for discussing challenges and opportunities while enjoying recreational activities and natural settings that enhanced perspective and strategic thinking about life priorities and relationship development. Our annual beach house weeks have become some of my favorite family memories because they provide time and space for the kind of deep conversations and relationship building that's hard to maintain during busy professional schedules and daily responsibilities. Michael had said during vacation planning discussions that had become more important as his engineering career demands and social obligations had increased throughout his 30s. The beach house traditions had also provided natural opportunities for romantic partners to experience extended family interaction and participate in family activities that revealed character and compatibility factors that might not be obvious during shorter social gatherings or formal family events, that provided limited insight into personality and relationship dynamics under relaxed circumstances and collaborative activities. The professional mentorship that enhanced their careers. The professional guidance aspects of our family relationships during those golden years had been particularly rewarding for all of us, providing opportunities for me to share insights and expertise from my financial career while supporting their professional development and strategic thinking, without crossing boundaries into inappropriate control or dependency that might compromise their individual achievement and personal satisfaction with professional success. Your experience with strategic analysis and professional relationship management has been invaluable for helping me understand client development opportunities and project management challenges that I might not have recognized or addressed effectively on my own, Jennifer had explained during conversations about professional development and career advancement that had characterized our collaborative approach to strategic planning and problem-solving throughout her marketing career development. The professional guidance had included analysis of client relationship dynamics, strategic approaches to business development and creative collaboration, and systematic evaluation of career opportunities and advancement possibilities that required sophisticated thinking about long-term professional goals and personal satisfaction considerations that would affect life planning and relationship priorities. But perhaps most importantly, the professional mentorship had been based on mutual respect and collaborative analysis rather than hierarchical authority or family control that might compromise their professional autonomy and individual decision-making about career development and business relationship management that remained entirely under their direction and control. The collaborative approach to professional development had created shared intellectual interests and strategic challenges that enhanced family relationships while providing practical benefits for their career advancement and business success that demonstrated the value of family wisdom and experience without creating dependency or obligation that might compromise individual achievement and personal satisfaction. The professional insights and strategic thinking frameworks that I've learned through our family conversations have enhanced my professional capabilities and business development success in ways that support rather than replace my individual effort and talent, Michael had noted during career evaluation discussions that had recognized both family contribution and individual achievement in professional development and advancement. During their early 30s, as all three of my children had achieved greater professional stability and begun considering more serious long-term relationship commitments and life planning decisions, our conversations had evolved to include more detailed discussions about family planning priorities, financial responsibility, and the kind of partnership qualities that would enhance rather than compromise their personal happiness and professional development throughout their adult lives and career advancement. These discussions weren't attempts to control their romantic choices or impose family expectations on their relationship decisions, but rather collaborative analysis of relationship dynamics and compatibility factors that could affect long-term satisfaction and family harmony that would benefit everyone involved in expanded family relationships and professional collaboration throughout career development and community involvement. The property ownership education and family planning. All three of my children had also begun taking greater interest in family property ownership and inheritance planning, not because they were planning to depend on inherited assets or family property for their individual financial security, but because they understood that family property represented family legacy and values that they might eventually be responsible for understanding and supporting throughout future generations and professional development. I want to understand the family property ownership and inheritance planning not because I'm planning to depend on inherited advantages, but because I recognize that these assets represent family legacy and values that I should understand and respect, David had said during discussions about property law and generational responsibility that had become more detailed as he matured and began considering long-term family relationship responsibilities and community stewardship. The gradual transition toward greater family property awareness had been natural and mutually beneficial, providing my children with sophisticated understanding of property law and estate planning coordination, while ensuring continuity of family values and professional principles that had preserved and enhanced family property ownership across multiple generations of financial planning development and community leadership. These family property education discussions had included comprehensive information about property ownership structures and inheritance planning frameworks, real estate investment and family asset coordination, and the systematic approaches to property management and professional relationship coordination that had characterized my career and continued to guide family property ownership and strategic planning throughout retirement years. All three children had demonstrated genuine aptitude and interest in strategic analysis and property management that suggested natural ability for eventual family property coordination responsibilities, while also maintaining clear boundaries between family property education and personal career development that remained focused on their individual professional achievement and career satisfaction rather than dependence on inherited advantages or family property ownership. Learning about family property management and estate planning coordination actually enhances my professional development because it provides sophisticated analytical frameworks and strategic thinking approaches that improve my project planning and client relationship management capabilities. Jennifer had observed during property education sessions that had prepared her for potential family property involvement while supporting her current career growth and development throughout the technology marketing industry. The professional development that resulted from family property education had created additional common ground for our relationship conversations and collaborative problem solving, providing shared intellectual interests and strategic challenges that enhanced family connection, while respecting individual autonomy and professional priorities that remained entirely under their control and direction. The trust and investment that made betrayal so devastating. But perhaps most importantly, the golden years of our family relationships had been characterized by genuine mutual enjoyment and emotional satisfaction that went far beyond professional considerations or practical advantages to include the kind of authentic love and connection that made family gatherings and traditions genuinely rewarding experiences that enhanced rather than complicated our individual lives and personal development. The birthday celebrations during those years had been joyful occasions that reflected our individual personalities and shared interests, while creating opportunities for family connection and tradition maintenance that provided emotional satisfaction and personal fulfillment throughout our professional and social communities. Jennifer's birthday celebrations had included thoughtful planning and personalized activities that reflected her individual interests and professional achievements, while creating opportunities for family gathering and relationship appreciation that enhanced, rather than complicated, her individual social life and romantic relationships. Michael's birthday celebrations had focused on his love of outdoor activities and engineering challenges, often including hiking trips or technical museum visits that reflected his interest while providing opportunities for family bonding and shared experiences that strengthened our relationships while respecting his individual preferences and social priorities. David's birthday celebrations had emphasized his intellectual interests and legal profession, often including visits to cultural events or historical sites that reflected his educational background, while creating opportunities for family discussion and relationship building that enhanced our connection while supporting his individual interests and professional development. My birthday celebrations had included their careful attention to creating meaningful experiences that honored family traditions, while accommodating contemporary preferences and social considerations that made celebrations enjoyable and personally satisfying rather than obligatory or stressful family events. The gift-giving traditions had emphasized creativity and personal significance, rather than expensive display or competitive spending, creating opportunities for family expression and relationship building that reflected authentic affection and understanding rather than material obligation or social pressure. These golden years had created exactly the kind of foundation and mutual trust that made their systematic property manipulation campaign particularly devastating and obviously inappropriate compared to the healthy family dynamics and collaborative relationship building that had characterized our family interaction and tradition maintenance for over 2 decades of mutual support and genuine affection. Those years had established patterns of respect, communication, and collaborative problem-solving that made the contrast with their later behavior obvious and disturbing to anyone who understood healthy family relationship dynamics and the difference between authentic family connection and systematic exploitation designed to circumvent property ownership and inheritance planning that might interfere with personal financial advantage and property liquidation schemes. But those beautiful years were about to become evidence of exactly what Jennifer, Michael, and David had taken for granted through systematic property manipulation and family authority abandonment, and their behavior during my supposed mental decline would provide the final documentation necessary for implementing the most comprehensive property protection education that anyone in our family's history had ever experienced. The monthly dinners that had built our relationships would become evidence of the respect they had abandoned. The professional guidance that had enhanced their careers would become proof of the family investment they had dismissed. The vacation memories that had strengthened our bonds would become documentation of the love they had systematically exploited for property manipulation and financial advantage. Have you ever watched someone take for granted something beautiful that took decades to build? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Because my children's story of family exploitation is just beginning, and those golden years that they dismissed as outdated family sentiment were about to become the foundation for the most strategic property protection lesson in our family's history. If you're enjoying this story of family relationships and strategic consequences, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Tomorrow, I'll tell you exactly how Jennifer, Michael, and David entered their manipulative phase and began their systematic campaign to exploit my supposed mental decline while positioning themselves for unauthorized property control that would ultimately cost them everything they thought they were guaranteed through family relationships and inheritance expectations. The trust we had built over decades would become the very standard that would measure their failure, because when you systematically exploit someone who spent their career learning how to protect property from exactly the type of family manipulation they were attempting, you're not just abandoning family responsibility. You're writing your own property protection education with every choice to prioritize personal financial advantage over family respect and legitimate inheritance planning. The systematic transformation of Jennifer, Michael, and David from loving family members to calculating property manipulators had been gradual and sophisticated, beginning in January 2023 when they first observed my occasional forgetfulness and minor confusion that any 70-year-old might experience, and culminating in October 2024 with their secret campaign to sell my house while positioning themselves as concerned children protecting an incompetent elderly mother from her own supposed mental decline and poor financial decision-making. What my children didn't realize during their 18-month manipulation campaign was that every conversation, every unauthorized contact with real estate professionals, and every attempt to position themselves as my property management authorities had been systematically documented through the comprehensive property protection monitoring systems I had maintained throughout my retirement, creating an irrefutable record of family exploitation that would soon trigger the most devastating property protection education in our neighborhood's history. The moment that would expose their complete misunderstanding of both my mental capacity and my professional property protection authority occurred on that crisp October morning when I accidentally discovered Jennifer meeting with real estate agent Patricia Morrison in my own driveway, discussing property valuations and potential buyers for my mother's house that she can no longer manage safely or financially. But before I reveal the surprising decision that would transform their property manipulation scheme into comprehensive family education about respect, honesty, and the serious consequences of attempting elder exploitation against someone with 4 decades of property protection expertise, let me tell you exactly how their systematic campaign had developed and the specific evidence that had been accumulating through my professional monitoring systems. The transformation begins. Early 2023. The first warning signs of my children's character transformation had appeared during our regular family gatherings in early 2023, when I began experiencing normal age-related memory lapses and occasional confusion about dates or appointments that any elderly person might encounter. Instead of responding with compassion and support, Jennifer, Michael, and David had immediately begun treating these minor difficulties as evidence of serious mental decline that required their intervention and oversight. "Mom, you mentioned the same story about your neighbor twice during dinner," Jennifer had observed during our February 2023 monthly gathering, her tone suggesting concern but her expression revealing calculation and opportunity assessment. "Are you feeling okay? Maybe we should consider having you evaluated by a doctor to make sure everything is all right with your memory and cognitive function." The systematic documentation of my minor memory lapses had been immediate and comprehensive, with all 3 children beginning to record instances of confusion, forgetfulness, or repetition that could be interpreted as evidence of cognitive decline requiring family intervention and property management assistance. But what they hadn't realized was that my occasional forgetfulness was entirely normal for my age and stress level, and that my property protection monitoring systems had been documenting their sudden interest in my mental capacity and their systematic collection of supposed evidence that could justify their intervention in property ownership and financial management decisions. The children's immediate focus on documenting mental decline rather than providing emotional support represents a classic pattern of manipulation preparation. I had noted in my private documentation system that recorded family behavior patterns and potential exploitation attempts. Their systematic approach to evidence collection suggests long-term planning for property intervention, rather than genuine concern about cognitive health or family support needs. The transformation had accelerated throughout spring 2023 as my children began coordinating their observations and developing comprehensive documentation of my supposed mental decline, while simultaneously beginning to research property values, real estate market conditions, and the legal procedures that might allow them to assume authority over property decisions if they could establish my mental incompetence. Michael had begun asking detailed questions about property maintenance, utility costs, and my ability to manage the financial responsibilities associated with home ownership, framing these inquiries as concern about my well-being, while actually gathering information that could support arguments about my inability to continue independent property management. "This house is really too big for you to maintain alone, Mom," Michael had suggested during one of our weekly coffee meetings in April 2023. "The property taxes have increased significantly, and I'm worried about your ability to handle all the maintenance responsibilities and financial obligations that come with owning such a large property in this expensive neighborhood." The systematic introduction of property management concerns had been coordinated among all three children, with each one raising different aspects of supposed property burden and financial difficulty that could justify their intervention, while creating documentation of my apparent inability to handle property ownership responsibilities. David's legal background had been particularly valuable for their manipulation campaign, as he had begun researching guardianship procedures, property transfer mechanisms, and the legal frameworks that could allow family members to assume control of elderly parents' assets when mental incompetence could be demonstrated through medical evaluation and comprehensive documentation. "I've been reading about some legal protections for elderly property owners, Mom," David had mentioned during one of our bi-weekly lunches in May 2023, presenting his research as helpful information while actually testing my knowledge of property law and legal procedures that might affect their manipulation plans. "There are some options for family management of property and financial decisions when elderly parents need assistance with complex financial responsibilities." The systematic campaign intensifies, summer 2023. Throughout summer 2023, the coordination among Jennifer, Michael, and David had become increasingly sophisticated and comprehensive, involving regular private meetings where they shared observations about my supposed mental decline, developed strategies for documenting my incompetence, and planned their eventual intervention in property ownership and financial management that would position them as protective family members rather than manipulative relatives seeking personal finance. The systematic nature of their campaign had been revealed through my property protection monitoring systems, which had detected their unauthorized research into property values, real estate market conditions, and potential buyers for residential properties in my neighborhood. The monitoring systems had also documented their coordination with each other through phone calls and private meetings that discussed my mental capacity and property management capabilities. The monitoring systems have detected systematic research into property valuations and real estate market analysis that suggests comprehensive planning for unauthorized property transactions. I had documented in my professional assessment records. The coordination among all three children indicates organized family manipulation rather than individual opportunism or isolated exploitation attempts. But perhaps most concerning had been their systematic attempts to isolate me from independent professional advice and legal consultation that might expose their manipulation campaign or provide me with objective assessment of my mental capacity and property management capabilities. Jennifer had begun discouraging my continued involvement with professional financial advisors and property management consultants, suggesting that such relationships were unnecessary expenses and that family members could provide all the assistance I needed for property maintenance and financial planning. "You don't really need to keep paying those expensive professional fees for property management advice, Mom," Jennifer had suggested during our July 2023 monthly dinner. "We can help you with any property decisions or financial planning you need, and it would save you a lot of money that could be better used for your personal expenses and healthcare needs." The systematic discouragement of professional relationships had been coordinated with Michael and David, who had also begun suggesting that my continuing involvement with financial advisors and property consultants indicated confusion about my actual needs and an inability to make appropriate financial decisions about professional services and consultation fees. Michael had reinforced Jennifer's concerns during our August coffee meeting, suggesting that my property protection monitoring systems and professional consultation relationships represented unnecessary paranoia and inappropriate spending that indicated declining judgment about financial priorities and professional service needs. Those security systems and professional consultation services seem like overkill for a residential property, Mom, Michael had observed, testing my attachment to the very systems that were documenting his unauthorized activities. Maybe it's time to simplify your property management and financial planning to focus on the essential services you actually need for daily living and basic property maintenance. David's legal expertise had been used to reinforce their systematic isolation campaign, as he had begun questioning my property ownership structures and family trust arrangements, suggesting that such complex legal frameworks were unnecessarily complicated and that simplified property ownership would be more appropriate for my current life situation and cognitive capabilities. The family trust structures and property protection arrangements seem overly complex for your current needs, Mom, David had mentioned during our September lunch meeting. Maybe we should consider simplifying the legal frameworks to make property management easier and more straightforward for you to understand and manage independently. The discovery, October 2024. The culminating moment that would expose their entire manipulation campaign and trigger my surprising decision occurred on the morning of October 15, 2024, when I returned early from my weekly grocery shopping trip and discovered Jennifer in my driveway, engaged in an animated conversation with real estate agent Patricia Morrison about property valuations, market conditions, and potential buyers for what Jennifer described as my mother's property that needs to be sold due to her declining mental capacity and inability. The conversation I overheard from my car provided comprehensive confirmation of their manipulation campaign and revealed the full scope of their unauthorized property activities that had been developing throughout their 18-month systematic exploitation scheme. The property is beautifully maintained and located in one of Portland's most desirable neighborhoods, Jennifer had been explaining to the real estate agent. My mother inherited it from my grandmother and has lived here for decades, but she's developed significant cognitive decline that makes it impossible for her to continue managing such a complex property situation. We're concerned about her safety and financial security, so we need to explore options for property sale and transition to appropriate senior living arrangements. The sophisticated misrepresentation of my mental capacity and property management capabilities had been comprehensive and clearly rehearsed, involving specific details about my supposed cognitive decline, carefully constructed concern about my safety and financial security, and strategic positioning of property sale as necessary family intervention rather than unauthorized exploitation of elderly property ownership. But what Jennifer hadn't realized was that Patricia Morrison had been one of my professional contacts for over 15 years, and that she was required by our existing professional agreements to immediately notify me of any unauthorized contact regarding my property or any attempts by family members to initiate property transactions without my direct involvement and written authorization. I appreciate your concern about your mother's well-being, Patricia had responded with professional courtesy while documenting the unauthorized contact. However, I cannot discuss property transactions or market evaluations without direct authorization from the property owner. If your mother is interested in property consultation, she would need to contact me directly to arrange appropriate professional services. Jennifer's response had revealed both her preparation for this obstacle and her complete misunderstanding of professional property protection protocols and the legal requirements that governed real estate transactions involving elderly property owners who might be targeted for exploitation or unauthorized manipulation. My mother's cognitive condition makes it difficult for her to understand complex property decisions or professional relationships, Jennifer had persisted, revealing the systematic narrative they had developed to justify their authority over property decisions. We're acting in her best interests and with appropriate family authority to protect her financial security and ensure proper property management during her declining mental capacity. The conversation had continued for several more minutes, with Jennifer becoming increasingly frustrated as Patricia maintained professional boundaries and refused to provide property information or consultation services without my direct authorization, while I documented every word through the recording equipment that I routinely carried for exactly this type of situation. The professional response activation. Within 1 hour of discovering Jennifer's unauthorized meeting with Patricia Morrison, I had activated the comprehensive property protection protocols that I had developed throughout my career for addressing family manipulation and elder exploitation attempts, beginning with immediate communication to my professional network and legal advisors who could implement systematic intervention and educational consequences for unauthorized property activities. This is Margaret Chen, requesting immediate activation of Family Property Protection Protocol under comprehensive authority for documented unauthorized property manipulation and systematic family exploitation. I had communicated to my Property Protection Coordination team using established emergency response procedures for immediate intervention and consequence implementation. The emergency protocols had been specifically designed for situations involving systematic family manipulation and unauthorized property activities, providing immediate capability for legal intervention, comprehensive consequence implementation, and educational outcomes that could protect property ownership, while ensuring that family members understood the serious legal and financial implications of attempting elder exploitation and unauthorized property manipulation. Attorney Sarah Chen, my property protection legal specialist, had implemented immediate documentation and intervention procedures within 2 hours of my property protection authorization, activating comprehensive legal response protocols that would address every aspect of my children's manipulation campaign, while building legally irrefutable foundation for property protection education and family relationship restructuring. Margaret's property protection authorization provides comprehensive justification for immediate intervention and educational consequences. Attorney Chen had explained during emergency coordination with legal personnel and property protection specialists. The documented unauthorized activities and systematic family manipulation clearly violate established property law and elder protection standards that require immediate protective intervention and maximum educational implementation. The property protection activation had included immediate communication with property monitoring networks and real estate protection specialists throughout the Portland region, ensuring that my children's manipulation campaign would be comprehensively addressed through coordinated professional response and systematic consequence implementation that would eliminate their assumptions about elderly vulnerability and property exploitation opportunities. Dr. Patricia Wong, my family relationship specialist, had implemented immediate behavioral assessment and manipulation documentation protocols that would provide comprehensive family education case development and permanent record of their exploitation attempts for ongoing monitoring and relationship restructuring that would restore proper family dynamics and property respect. The systematic family manipulation and property exploitation represents classic elder abuse that requires comprehensive intervention and educational consequences, Dr. Wong had confirmed during emergency professional consultation. The documented evidence provides justification for maximum family education implementation and systematic relationship restructuring that will restore proper family values and property ownership respect. The surprising decision: complete property transfer. While Jennifer, Michael, and David continued their secret coordination and property manipulation planning, completely unaware that their unauthorized activities had been discovered and that comprehensive professional intervention had been activated, I was implementing the most surprising and educationally devastating property decision in our family's history. Rather than simply stopping their manipulation campaign and maintaining property ownership under existing family trust structures, I had decided to implement a complete property transfer that would provide them with exactly what they thought they wanted, while delivering comprehensive education about property ownership responsibility, family respect, and the serious consequences of attempting elder exploitation against someone with professional property protection expertise. The surprising decision involved immediate transfer of complete property ownership to Jennifer, Michael, and David, making them joint owners of the house they had been secretly planning to sell, while simultaneously implementing comprehensive property protection education that would teach them exactly what property ownership actually involved when combined with professional accountability and systematic consequence implementation for their unauthorized manipulation attempts. Property ownership involves comprehensive responsibility and legal accountability that extends far beyond simple financial benefit, I had explained during the property transfer documentation process. Since my children have demonstrated such expertise in property management and such concern about my property ownership capabilities, they should have the opportunity to experience complete property ownership responsibility while learning about the legal and financial obligations that accompany real estate ownership in today's complex property market. The property transfer had been structured through sophisticated legal mechanisms that provided my children with complete ownership authority while implementing comprehensive property protection education that would ensure they understood every aspect of property ownership responsibility, legal accountability, and the serious implications of property management decisions that affected not just financial considerations, but also family relationships and community standing. But the most educationally devastating aspect of the property transfer was the implementation of what I called complete ownership accountability, a comprehensive system of property ownership education that would provide my children with direct experience of every challenge, obligation, and responsibility that they had assumed I was unable to handle due to my supposed mental decline and cognitive limitations. The Complete Ownership Accountability Education. The Complete Ownership Accountability Education involved systematic implementation of every property management challenge and financial obligation that my children would need to address as new property owners, combined with comprehensive monitoring and assessment that would document their property management capabilities while providing comparison with my previous property ownership performance and management effectiveness. The property ownership education included immediate responsibility for all property taxes, maintenance obligations, insurance requirements, and legal compliance that characterized homeownership in Portland's high-value real estate market, combined with systematic assessment of their property management decision-making and financial planning capabilities throughout their property ownership experience. Property ownership involves comprehensive financial planning and systematic management capability that requires sophisticated understanding of real estate law, market analysis, and long-term financial responsibility, I had explained during property transfer orientation sessions. Since Jennifer, Michael, and David have demonstrated such confidence in their property management expertise, they should have the opportunity to implement their sophisticated understanding of real estate ownership and financial planning throughout actual property ownership experience. But perhaps most importantly, the Complete Ownership Accountability Education included comprehensive implementation of the property monitoring and protection systems that had been documenting their unauthorized activities, ensuring that their property ownership experience would be systematically monitored and assessed while providing them with complete understanding of professional property protection and the sophisticated legal frameworks that governed property ownership security and family asset protection. The property monitoring systems would now monitor their property management decisions, financial planning effectiveness, and property maintenance capabilities while providing systematic documentation of their property ownership performance and comparison with professional property management standards that distinguished effective ownership from inadequate property stewardship and financial mismanagement. The educational consequences unfold. Within the first month of property ownership, Jennifer, Michael, and David had discovered the comprehensive financial obligations and management responsibilities that characterized property ownership in Portland's expensive real estate market, including property taxes that exceeded $18,000 annually, insurance requirements that cost over $6,000 per year, and maintenance obligations that required systematic attention and significant financial investment throughout ongoing property stewardship. We had no idea that property ownership involved such comprehensive financial responsibility and systematic management obligations, Jennifer had admitted during family coordination meetings that became necessary as they struggled with property ownership challenges that exceeded their previous understanding and financial planning capabilities. The property taxes alone represent a significant financial burden that requires careful budgeting and financial planning that we hadn't anticipated or prepared for adequately. The property ownership education had also included their discovery that the house required immediate maintenance and upgrade investments totaling over $45,000, including roof repairs, electrical system updates, plumbing maintenance, and heating system replacement that I had been systematically planning and financially preparing for throughout my property ownership stewardship. Michael's engineering expertise had proven insufficient for managing the complex property maintenance coordination and contractor management that effective property ownership required, particularly when combined with the financial planning and budgeting obligations that characterized responsible property stewardship in high-value real estate markets. The property maintenance requirements involve comprehensive coordination and financial planning that exceeds my professional engineering experience, Michael had acknowledged during property ownership assessment meetings. Effective property ownership requires systematic management capabilities and financial resources that demand ongoing attention and sophisticated planning throughout property stewardship responsibilities. Quote, David's legal background had proven inadequate for managing the complex property law compliance and regulatory requirements that characterized homeownership in Portland's strictly regulated residential market, particularly when combined with the financial planning and risk management obligations that effective property ownership demanded. Property ownership involves comprehensive legal compliance and regulatory management that requires specialized expertise beyond general legal practice, David had admitted during property ownership evaluation sessions. The complexity of property law and regulatory requirements demands ongoing professional consultation and systematic legal management that exceeds individual capability and requires significant financial investment throughout property ownership responsibility. The financial reality education. But perhaps the most devastating aspect of their property ownership education had been their discovery of the comprehensive financial planning and resource management that property ownership required, particularly when combined with their individual financial obligations and the property management responsibilities that they had assumed I was unable to handle due to mental decline and cognitive limitations. The combined property ownership obligations, including taxes, insurance, maintenance, and upgrade requirements, exceeded $75,000 annually, representing a financial burden that required systematic coordination among all 3 children and comprehensive modification of their individual financial planning and lifestyle expectations throughout ongoing property ownership responsibility. The financial obligations of property ownership require systematic coordination and shared financial responsibility that affects our individual financial planning and personal budget management, Jennifer had explained during family financial planning meetings that became necessary as they struggled to manage property ownership costs. We need to develop comprehensive financial coordination and shared responsibility systems that allow us to manage property ownership obligations while maintaining our individual financial security and personal financial goals. Quote, the financial coordination challenges had been complicated by their discovery that property ownership involved not just routine maintenance and tax obligations, but also systematic financial planning for property improvements, emergency repairs, and long-term property value maintenance that required sophisticated budgeting and investment planning throughout ongoing property stewardship. Michael had been responsible for coordinating property maintenance and improvement planning, but his engineering background had not prepared him for the comprehensive financial planning and contractor coordination that effective property stewardship required, particularly when combined with emergency repair situations and system failure management that demanded immediate financial response and professional coordination. Property maintenance coordination involves comprehensive financial planning and systematic management that requires ongoing attention and significant financial resources, Michael had acknowledged during property ownership assessment. The responsibility exceeds individual capability and requires systematic coordination among multiple family members with shared financial commitment and ongoing management responsibility. David's legal expertise had proven insufficient for managing the comprehensive insurance coordination and liability management that property ownership required, particularly when combined with the regulatory compliance and legal risk management that characterized responsible property stewardship in high-value residential markets. Property ownership involves comprehensive legal and financial risk management that requires specialized expertise and ongoing professional consultation, David had admitted during property ownership evaluation. The complexity of insurance coordination and liability management demands systematic legal attention and significant financial investment that exceeds individual capability and requires professional assistance throughout property ownership responsibility. Quote, the relationship reconstruction and family education. But the most profound aspect of their property ownership education had been their growing understanding of the sophisticated property management expertise and systematic financial planning that I had been providing throughout decades of effective property stewardship, combined with their recognition that their manipulation campaign had been based on fundamental misunderstanding of both my mental capacity and my professional property management capabilities. We completely misunderstood Mom's property management expertise and the sophisticated financial planning that effective property ownership requires, Jennifer had acknowledged during family relationship reconstruction meetings that became necessary as they struggled with property ownership challenges. Our assumptions about her mental decline and property management limitations were based on our own ignorance about property ownership complexity, rather than accurate assessment of her capabilities and professional expertise. The property ownership experience had provided comprehensive education about my property protection monitoring systems and the professional networks that had been supporting effective property management throughout my ownership tenure, combined with their discovery that successful property ownership required exactly the type of systematic planning and professional expertise that I had been providing throughout decades of property stewardship. Michael had gained particular appreciation for the engineering expertise and systematic planning that effective property maintenance required, combined with recognition that my property management had been providing professional-level stewardship that exceeded typical homeowner capabilities and required sophisticated understanding of property systems and maintenance planning. Mom's property management expertise and systematic planning had been providing professional-level property stewardship that we completely failed to recognize or appreciate, Michael had explained during family education sessions. Her property maintenance planning and financial management represented sophisticated expertise that exceeded our understanding and provided property value preservation that we had taken for granted throughout our family relationship. Quote, David's legal background had provided foundation for understanding the sophisticated legal frameworks and property protection systems that had been operating throughout my property ownership, combined with recognition that effective property ownership required exactly the type of professional expertise and systematic planning that characterized my property management approach. The legal frameworks and property protection systems that Mom had been maintaining represent professional-level property stewardship that demonstrates sophisticated expertise rather than cognitive decline, David had acknowledged during property ownership assessment. Our manipulation campaign was based on fundamental misunderstanding of property ownership complexity and systematic underestimation of her professional capabilities and property management expertise. The surprising decision revelation and family transformation. 6 months after implementing the complete ownership accountability education, my children's property ownership experience had provided comprehensive understanding of property stewardship responsibility and systematic appreciation for the professional expertise and financial planning that effective property ownership required, combined with genuine recognition of their manipulation campaign's inappropriateness and their fundamental misunderstanding of my capabilities and professional background. The property ownership education had created foundation for systematic family relationship reconstruction and genuine appreciation for property stewardship values. Combined with comprehensive understanding of the legal and financial frameworks that governed property ownership and the professional expertise that effective property management required throughout ongoing stewardship responsibility. But the most surprising aspect of their education had been their discovery that the property transfer had been structured as temporary educational experience rather than permanent ownership transfer, with comprehensive legal frameworks that would restore property ownership to my control, after they had demonstrated genuine understanding of property stewardship responsibility and systematic appreciation for professional property management expertise. The property transfer education was designed to provide comprehensive understanding of property ownership responsibility while creating opportunity for family relationship reconstruction based on genuine respect and appreciation, I had explained during property ownership conclusion ceremonies. Property ownership education creates lasting understanding of stewardship responsibility while providing foundation for authentic family relationships based on mutual respect rather than manipulation or exploitation attempts. The property ownership experience had concluded with systematic restoration of property ownership to my control, combined with comprehensive family relationship reconstruction that included ongoing property stewardship education and systematic appreciation for professional property management expertise that would guide family relationships throughout ongoing family interaction and inheritance planning. Jennifer, Michael, and David had emerged from their property ownership education with genuine understanding of property stewardship responsibility and systematic appreciation for the professional expertise and sophisticated planning that effective property management required, combined with comprehensive commitment to family relationship reconstruction based on respect and appreciation rather than manipulation or exploitation. The property ownership education provided understanding of stewardship responsibility and genuine appreciation for professional property management expertise, Jennifer had explained during family relationship reconstruction ceremonies. The experience created lasting understanding of property ownership complexity while providing foundation for authentic family relationships based on mutual respect and appreciation for each other's capabilities and professional expertise. The community impact and lasting legacy. The Margaret Chen Property Education Foundation had grown from our family's property ownership education experience into a comprehensive resource center that provided property stewardship education, family relationship counseling, and elder protection services for families throughout Oregon and neighboring states. The Foundation's programs had directly assisted over 800 families in understanding property ownership responsibility while providing comprehensive support for elderly individuals facing family manipulation and property exploitation attempts from adult children. The Foundation's impact has exceeded our most optimistic projections for property education and family relationship improvement. Foundation Director Patricia Romano had reported during the first annual impact assessment. Margaret's systematic response to family property manipulation has created educational and family reconstruction resources that have prevented countless instances of elder property exploitation, while providing comprehensive support for families facing similar manipulation attempts and property stewardship challenges. The Foundation's educational programs included comprehensive workshops for families about property ownership responsibility and stewardship planning, professional training for elder protection advocates and family relationship counselors, and legal education for attorneys about property protection strategies and family manipulation prevention that could preserve property ownership while maintaining positive family relationships. All three of my children had become effective educators and advocates for the Foundation, sharing their personal property ownership experience and family relationship reconstruction to help other families understand the importance of property stewardship responsibility and genuine family respect throughout property ownership and inheritance planning. Our property ownership education and family relationship reconstruction created lasting understanding of stewardship responsibility and genuine appreciation for property management expertise, Michael had explained during Foundation educational programs. The experience taught us that property ownership requires comprehensive responsibility and systematic planning, while family relationships should be based on mutual respect and appreciation, rather than manipulation or exploitation for personal financial advantage. The national recognition of our property education approach had attracted attention from property management professionals and family relationship specialists throughout the United States, leading to adoption of similar programs and property stewardship education frameworks in multiple states and legal communities throughout the country. The Margaret Chen property education model represents a breakthrough approach to ensuring that property ownership serves family values while creating lasting stewardship responsibility and family relationship improvement, explained Professor Robert Kim of Portland State University during national property management conferences. The systematic integration of property ownership education and family relationship reconstruction provides families with tools for ensuring that property stewardship reflects family relationship quality while encouraging positive behavior and genuine respect throughout property ownership and inheritance planning. As I reflect on the 18 months that have passed since my children's property manipulation campaign and the comprehensive family education and relationship reconstruction that resulted from strategic property ownership education, the most satisfying aspect of the entire experience has been the knowledge that their systematic manipulation ultimately created lasting family relationship improvement and property stewardship understanding that will benefit not just our family but countless others through educational programs and community protection initiatives. The foundation that bears my name has grown into a comprehensive resource center that provides property education, family relationship counseling, and elder protection assistance for families throughout multiple states, while also serving as a model for similar organizations and family education programs throughout the country. The property stewardship and family relationship techniques that were developed through my children's education have been adopted by property management professionals nationwide, enhancing capability for ensuring that property ownership serves family values while creating lasting stewardship responsibility and family relationship improvement. But perhaps the most profound satisfaction comes from knowing that Jennifer, Michael, and David's manipulation and property exploitation scheme, which was designed to prioritize personal financial advantage over family respect, ultimately demonstrated the importance of property stewardship responsibility and family appreciation while creating lasting educational resources that would protect elderly individuals from similar manipulation and property exploitation attempts. The quiet elderly mother that my children systematically manipulated during their property scheme had possessed exactly the professional expertise and property protection authority necessary to ensure that their exploitation behavior resulted in comprehensive property education and lasting family relationship improvement, while also creating educational resources that would protect other elderly property owners from similar manipulation and exploitation attempts. The story that began with systematic family manipulation and property exploitation had ended with comprehensive property education and family relationship reconstruction, proving that real property protection authority and professional expertise often operate quietly until manipulation attempts force them into educational action that creates lasting benefit for families and communities. My children had assumed that my age and occasional forgetfulness made me an ideal target for systematic property manipulation and exploitation, never realizing that some elderly parents possess exactly the professional background and property protection connections necessary to ensure that manipulation behavior results in comprehensive property education and lasting family relationship improvement. The property ownership that they thought was automatically available for unauthorized manipulation had ultimately triggered the most comprehensive family education and relationship reconstruction program in our community's history, demonstrating that property ownership should serve family values and stewardship responsibility rather than enabling manipulation behavior and systematic family exploitation. The surprising decision that my children discovered through their property education was that elderly parents who appear vulnerable may possess decades of professional expertise and systematic authority that can transform family manipulation into educational opportunities and relationship reconstruction resources that serve as permanent benefit for families and communities. My 4 decades of property protection experience had provided exactly the right professional background and systematic capability to ensure that my children's manipulation behavior resulted not only in comprehensive personal property education, but also in lasting educational resources and family relationship improvement frameworks that would benefit families throughout the region and beyond. The Foundation continues to grow and expand its educational programs. The property stewardship techniques continue to be adopted by property management professionals nationwide, and Jennifer, Michael, and David continue to serve as advocates and educators while maintaining the genuine family relationship commitment and property stewardship responsibility that their education created. Some family manipulation ends with simple relationship damage and lasting resentment, but others create lasting property education and family relationship improvement that serve as permanent demonstration of how professional expertise can ensure that property ownership serves family values while creating comprehensive benefit for families and communities. My children thought they were exploiting an incompetent elderly mother while gaining unauthorized control over valuable property. They had no idea they were creating the foundation for one of the most comprehensive property education and family relationship improvement programs in property management history. The quiet retirement that had concealed Property Protection Authority had ultimately protected not just one family relationship, but had created lasting educational resources and family development frameworks that would benefit thousands of families, while demonstrating how professional expertise can ensure that property ownership serves family values and stewardship responsibility rather than enabling manipulation behavior. Remember, real property protection power operates through professional expertise and systematic authority rather than obvious display. The most important family education often comes from those who appear most vulnerable, while possessing exactly the right background and professional connections to ensure that manipulation behavior results in comprehensive family relationship improvement and lasting educational legacy. Never underestimate someone based on age, apparent vulnerability, or family relationships, because you never know when that quiet elderly parent might possess exactly the property protection expertise and family education authority necessary to transform your manipulation behavior into the most comprehensive property stewardship education and family relationship improvement of your lifetime. Have you ever witnessed such a complete transformation from entitled manipulation to genuine property stewardship responsibility? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts, because this story proves that property ownership should serve family values and stewardship responsibility, and that the most powerful property education often operates through professional expertise that creates lasting educational benefit for families and communities. If you enjoyed this story of property education and family relationship improvement, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell for more stories about how professional expertise and property protection authority can ensure that family relationships serve family values while creating lasting benefit for individuals and communities who understand the importance of property stewardship responsibility and family relationship commitment. The property lesson that changed my children's lives forever and created lasting benefit for thousands of families proves that some family education requires professional expertise and systematic consequences to restore genuine family values and property stewardship responsibility that should be natural expressions of family relationship commitment and community care. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.